Yo,
Yo,
man,
what's up?
how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Welcome back from vacation. Hopefully, I'm not the first face you're having to deal with.
No, absolutely not. I came home on Friday from Greece and we had absolutely an amazing time.
How was it? I've never been.
It was so beautiful. We were very lucky. We were in 3 different spots. We started in Athens. I went to Nafplio. We were on a boat for a week in the Peloponnesos, and the last week we spent in Santorini, one of the islands, which is so beautiful, so amazing. I love Greece. It's such a beautiful country.
Yeah, my brother and his wife just went there a couple of months ago and just sent me all these pictures from, is it Santorini?
Santorini, yeah. There's a lot of Americans actually in Santorini. I was really surprised, but yeah, it's such a beautiful place, honestly.
I'm so jealous. Well, not only welcome back from vacation, but Armin van Buuren, welcome back to America's Dance 30.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Congratulations on In The Dark with David Guetta and Aldae going #1. That is so incredible.
That is insane. You didn't tell me that.
Wow, I'm glad I could break the news to you. I wish I had a trophy or something to give you, but I don't.
I mean, can you imagine? I just did 3 weeks of absolutely nothing, and then you tell me I'm #1. So it kind of feels weird.
Well, welcome back to reality. Armin is always #1.
Thank
Now,
you. That means a lot. It really means a lot.
My most important question for you is it as weird for you as it is for us Armin van Buuren fans that it's taken this long for an Armin Guetta collab?
Actually, I'm pretty surprised myself, but looking at my schedule, looking at David's schedule, it was just, it was almost impossible to find a time to properly sit down in the studio. We did try a few things a couple of years ago, but nothing came out of that, and we didn't want to share the news until we actually finished something that we were both super satisfied with. I mean, he has a very distinct sound. I have a sound, and we had to find middle ground, which honestly wasn't easy, even though we're the best friends. And, we've been friends for, I think, over 15 years now. I mean, I went to his parties, his family gatherings and stuff, and we had dinner multiple times. We played back to back with each other, but it just, for some reason, it just never came together until we found this song, which was co-written by Aldae, and it was just a song that, well, accidentally, it ended up on his desk and my desk around the same time, and we met up in LA together. Said, okay, let's try and finish this and make it a proper single, and let's see if we can go somewhere, because the song to me is just magical, and he had the same feeling. Like, it would be a shame if we couldn't do something with this. So it was in the air, but honestly, it was a bit of a struggle to get it finished because, he has a lot of demands. He has a big team of people. As you know, I have a big team of people that also has a lot of demands. But we just really loved the song, and we wanted to make it work. So the production was a bit of work, but yeah, we put a lot of love into it, and yeah, we were equally excited about the result. So yeah, to see this going to #1 is just, I mean, it just kind of proved like that we were right in a way. You know what I mean? We were right.
You were right. Absolutely. Well, we're going to delve a little more into it a little later on about how it was born. But is there anyone else that you've known forever that you haven't collabed with, that you want to collab with?
Yeah.
I mean, you struck David Guetta off the list. You struck Steve Aoki off the list, who you hadn't worked with. Is there anyone else?
Oh, well, for example, Skrillex. I remember meeting him and hanging out at his parties in the early days. I have huge respect for him, and we've been talking for a long time. For some reason, it just never came together, but who knows in the future. Cascade is one of those guys. I love him. Ryan, we meet each other all the time at festivals and events. It feels like my older brother in a way. But that's also one of the guys I think, that would be a dream one day to dream collab to come together. But, let's see. For me, I think I want to stress this. I mean, of course, name dropping is important. I mean, we all know David Guetta and his legacy, and he's such a nice and humble guy, and he has such a legacy behind him. He's probably one of the biggest DJs ever out there. But you can work with the biggest name, but it doesn't mean you can have a number one on America's Dance 30. You know what I mean? It needs to have a song that really resonates with the fans, and that's a big responsibility. I mean, I know I can name drop here, and I'm super proud of this track with David Guetta, but I think first and foremost, what matters to us is the fact that this song really resonates with the crowd, and it has such an impact on the dance floor when we play it.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. It's got incredible vocals. It's got incredible synth and bass line to it. It really is a great song. Before we delve into it and talk about how it was born, let's get to know Armin van Buuren a little better with Armin in the Dark or Armin with the Lights On. I'm just going to ask you a bunch of random questions. Just tell me if you'd rather do it in the dark or with the lights on, all right?
Sure.
Armin van Buuren watching a scary movie. In the dark or with the lights on?
In the dark, for sure. I love a good horror movie.
What's the last one you saw?
I think wasn't it the updated Scream version? That was a new version of Scream out, I think. Yeah, we always loved that one. Hello, Sydney.
I can see you having a role in it next time.
Yeah, I love that one.
Armin taking a nap. In the dark or with the lights on?
I can take a nap anywhere, man. With the lights on, with the lights off. Like I can sleep anywhere. That's one of my talents, actually. You know, touring so much, working so much. Or like when I'm on a plane, noise around me, I put my noise canceling headphones on, and I'm gone. You know, it's frustrating for my manager because he sits next to me. He's like, he needs all these things that he wants to discuss. Like, well, we need to discuss this tour. We need to discuss this video. You know?
I got to admit, though, taking a nap, though, with the lights off is dangerous. It's like living on the edge because you don't know how long that nap is going to be.
It's true. It's very true. No, but I'm not going to lie. Like recently I discovered how much I need 8 hours of sleep. I know there's a lot of people out there who can live on 5-6 hours, but for me, I need my 8 hours every night for sure.
God, once again, I'm jealous of you. I couldn't even imagine what 8 hours of sleep is like.
You're working too hard.
Way too hard. Tell my bosses that. Now, Armin playing a set at night in the dark or during the day with daylight?
Oh, no, in the dark. I've just invested a lot of time and money into my visual show, and I'm super proud of that. So, yeah, that to me is really important. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, producing your next number one, in the studio, in the dark, or with the lights on?
Well, actually, you see my studio, and this is In the Dark was partly produced in this same space. You can see these big windows because we're talking on video here. So I actually spend a lot of time and money into having a studio with daylight because the most studios I get into are these spaceships, you know what I mean? And I actually really love the fact that I have daylight here because, you know, I'm used to playing in the dark, so I get jet lagged really easy. So this is one of my favorite things, to sit in this studio and actually have daylight, and it makes me feel much more comfortable. I also have fresh air coming from the outside all the way in, so it's not air conditioning, it's actually fresh air coming from the outside in the studio. So I can sit here in this chair for like 13 hours. Trust me, I do that sometimes. You know, so yeah, I prefer producing in the light.
Now, finally, did you propose to your wife in the dark or with the lights on?
I proposed to my wife in front of the Opera House in Sydney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was in the light, yeah, for sure. The rest we do in the dark, but that I didn't realize.
That's for another chat, Armin van Buuren. Let's talk about this smash. So how long ago did you guys start working on it?
I would say about a year ago. Yeah, I can look it up in my chat. I think it's about a year ago that we found out that we both liked the same track. And yeah, I sent him a first version that he absolutely didn't like. And then he suggested some things. And then we started working together, you know, bouncing back and forth. And, you know, it's actually really funny how you make music nowadays. You know, I still work with a lot of people in the same studio. And I've been with Guetta in the same studio. But most of it, the work gets done remotely. And it's great because of, you know, I'm very mobile right now. Like since like 5 years, I travel with my studio basically on the plane. However, I can't really finish any tracks when I'm on the road. I really need to be in a proper studio to properly hear what it sounds like on big speakers. So, yeah, no, it's fun. It's a great way of working on it.
And you mentioned that he didn't like the original. Something I love to find out is
no, we loved the original demo. But I started working on it together with my good friend in the studio, and we took a different angle just to try, and I think not a lot of people know this, but this is what I do like for a living. I sit in the studio, I try to fool around with chords and ideas, and I listen to a lot of current music and try to translate it. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. It's just the way how you make music, or at least how I work. Yeah.
And will that version ever see the day of light?
Oh, hell no. Hell no. No, there's a bunch of really bad noise on my hard drive. I'm surprised it didn't crash yet. But that's the beauty of it. The beauty of creation is that every little step. I mean, I can play you the first versions of "This Is What It Feels Like," my big anthem that was released in 2013, and the first attempts were just horrible. Yeah, sometimes you just need to. It's like sculpting. You're sculpting your statue. It's kind of, and I like that, working that way. It's actually a very inspirational way of working.
Well, something I love to find out about songs is how many different V's there are from when you start working on it, all the tweaking that goes on to when you finally put it out mastered. Do you remember what the final V was of In The Dark?
I can look it up. I'm in the folder right now. We did it's not that bad. We did 22 versions, so it's not that bad.
How many versions were there of This Is What It Feels Like?
Oh, you don't want to know. I think that's one of those, This Is What It Feels Like, 172, alternate 356 kind of version, I'm sure that you guys wouldn't even hear the difference between version 200 and version 356. But at one point, you just get so, like, you zoom in on the details, which I actually think you're kind of killing a sort of spontaneity, if you will. I remember making the production on another You with Mr. Props, and the very first idea I put down in like half an hour. Like, it was very basic chords, kick, bass line, that's it. And I wasn't really happy with it, but it had a certain magic to it. And I tried to like sort of escape that first demo, and it took me like months to go back to the very first idea to find out, yeah, this is the best idea. So the actual version that made the final cut, that is Another You, is pretty much the original demo that I made in the studio in like half an hour. But I mean, the basics. I mean, obviously the little detail, the production details take a few days to finish, but the rough idea, the chord idea, the very basic structure of the song, the kick and bass line, they're from the original demo. So sometimes there's a certain magic to those 30 minutes.
That's so amazing. I got to tell you, just totally off the subject, but I got to tell you a funny story about Trevor Guthrie. I don't know if you know this story. We actually had him in town performing, and Sultan and Shepherd were playing live before him, but didn't know that he was on after them. And they dropped the song before he went on and performed.
Ooh, that's painful.
We're side stage just going, oh my God, BT had to run on stage to tell them to stop playing it because he was next.
I had a similar thing when I played a tour in China, and I played in a city, I can't even pronounce the name. It was a beautiful city, by the way, really nice people. And it started in a car. They blasted my own tracks really loud. So I had to ask the driver to turn the volume down, but he didn't speak English. So I had to listen to my own music really loud for about an hour. Then I got to my hotel, and then I went to the venue, and the DJ before me, I kid you not, was playing every single track I ever produced. And I still had to go on stage. But apparently the way they saw it was kind of an homage. They're paying tribute to me, and they wanted me to play everything again. But I was like, what's the point? If you're playing all this music, why did you invite me here? You know what I mean?
How did you start that set? Did you change stuff and start with an unfamiliar, or did you just do your normal set?
Oh, I always have a few new tracks that I'm working on, or our demos or studio things. So I started off with half an hour of brand new stuff, and I remember the crowd staring at me like, "What's this dude playing?" And then I started playing my big hits again, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's Armin. See, we love him." So it's not always what you expect. It's not always how I want it to be, my little control freak mind. I want it to be this way, but sometimes you just can't control a night. And it turned out it was one of the best nights on the tour. So, who am I to say something about that, actually?
That's too funny. Well, speaking of your shows, you've also got your residency at Ushuaia every Sunday in September. For somebody that's never been to Ibiza, what is it like?
Well, actually, I'll tell you a story. The first time I touched down in Ibiza, I was kind of let down because I was so hyped up about Ibiza. I was like, okay, now I'm in heaven, a place close to heaven, or paradise. This is paradise, you know? It took me a couple of years to really understand the magic of Ibiza. I mean, of course, if you want to go get wasted, if you want to have a great time, you know, hang out with your friends and listen to the best DJs, you can, because that's what Ibiza is known for. But to me, what the real magic of Ibiza is about is, you know, driving up to the north of the island, visiting one of those remote beaches, having an amazing lunch on the beach, being on a boat for a day, you know, sailing to Formentera, get a nice lunch there, finding one of those cool restaurant spots that serve excellent food, you know, visiting the hippie market in the north, or visiting the old Ibiza town, visiting one of those rare smaller parties where like 200 people are just having an amazing time after a lunch at some, you know, at some small beach. There's a certain magic about that you have to find. I think you have to take the time to find it. Don't expect when you land that magic will hit you instantly. I mean, it's a beautiful island, but the first time I got there, I was like, yeah, you know, it's pretty much just an island. You know what I mean? But there's definitely magic to it, and it has a music culture. You just feel like when you come to Rome, for example, you just feel the history, right? And I have that with Ibiza. You come there and you just feel the nostalgia. You feel the Balearic sound. It just touches you if you're open to it. I mean, and I guess you can have any time you want in Ibiza. You know, you can have the party time, you can have the relaxing time. I remember I was going on holiday in Ibiza with my family, and I was there for 3 weeks, and I didn't go to a single club, and just had a completely amazing time.
You've done a great job of selling it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Besides your shows in Ibiza, you've also got an amazing show at Red Rocks coming up. Tell us about that.
I'm so excited. I'm returning, actually. It's my second time. I played it in 2006, and I'm back, and it's going to be so wild. It's going to be Thursday, the 14th of November. I'm going to be ready for that.
That is such an incredible venue. I actually got flown there to see Cascade and Deadmau5. It was my first time there, and I was like, where am I right now? Just visually, it is unbelievable.
I know. It's a special place for sure.
My question about that is, do you go up the steps or do you just stay on the stage?
No, I'll go up the steps. Come on, man.
It is brutal. I was like, I could do this. Halfway up, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not as in shape as I thought I was.
I know, right?
Congratulations on all your shows there. And of course, congratulations on another #1 with In The Dark. That is so incredible.
I'm honored, man. I'm kind of blown away. It's just, it's insane. I love it.
Such a great song. By the way, one of your biggest fans, Lydia, submitted a question, and it's a really good question. If you could play a set for anyone, dead or alive, who would you want to play a set for, and what would be the first song you would open with?
I think I would play tribute to like Jean-Michel Jarre. I think it's his birthday today as well. You know, he's one of the pioneers of electronic music. I have a few heroes like that. You know, Dutch master mixer Ben Librand, Jean-Michel Jarre, Vangelis, who unfortunately passed away. You know, those are the guys that used the synthesizer in a time where the synthesizer was considered not even an instrument, you know. And they were on the basic. They started producing music with this thing that was created by guys with big white suits, you know. Yeah, I think that's really remarkable. And I think we owe everything in dance music to them. Everything that's happening right now, it's because in the 70s, a couple of guys really started making electronic music. Like Giorgio Moroder is one of those other guys that I want to mention. You know, such a legend. I mean, really. It's
so crazy to think back to that. Well, speaking of birthdays, happy early birthday to you, because I'm not sure if we're going to speak before then. I know it's in December. So happy early birthday. Armin van Buuren, thank you so much for your time with us on America's Dance 30.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, I'm over the moon. Thank you so much.